Hey there, and welcome to Ruck Up Buttercup, the podcast that's all about real talk for military spouses and families. I'm Sabrina, and we're so glad you're here.
And I'm Ashley, and together we dive into the ups, the downs, and everything in between that comes with military life. From deployment tips to marriage conversations to PCS chaos, finding your identity and owning it, nothing is off limits.
And I'm Laura. Whether you're folding uniforms, packing boxes, managing the home front, solo, or just trying to make it through another long week, you're in the right place. Here on Ruck Up Buttercup, we share real stories, honest conversation, and practical support for military families.
We talk about the hard stuff, the hopeful stuff, and everything in between. Because military life is anything but one size fits all.
This is a space to feel seen, supported, and reminded that you're never alone in this journey.
So lace up those boots, lift your chin, and let's ruck up Buttercup. Military life doesn't define us. We rise in.
You can also hear us on Wreath Across America Radio on Women in Media Wednesdays at 11 p.m. See you there.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ruck Up Buttercup. We are almost halfway through the year at this point. By the time that this episode comes out, we are recording a little early. We're trying to understand the weather at this point because it's freezing cold. Mother Nature cannot make its mind up. And I feel like it's a wonderful representation of military life where one day it can be beautiful and sunny. And next minute we are under tornado warnings and then under a freeze and blizzard, especially if you're here on the East Coast. But I think that's such a really fun way to look at life. Like, you never know what's going to get thrown at you. And what better way to have some amazing resources in your pocket to navigate those crazy times. We've talked a lot about this certain resource on the podcast as a great resource to reach out as soon as you PCS to a new location, because everywhere is going to have some form of this. No matter the branch or anything like that, there is a form of it. So today I have a guest with me today. I have Renata. Did I say that right? Or did I already butcher
It's Renata.
Renata. See, I was like, I knew I was like in my head the entire time. I was like, I'm going to say it wrong.
It's hard. It's hard. And what makes it worse is my sister's names are Ashley, Jessica, Kayla.
They got the simple names, and then you got this one that's what were you thinking? Okay. I love that first off. I can only imagine the conversations. Like, yeah, Ashley, and I get something that no one can pronounce. Okay. Renata, thank you for joining us today. So Renata is a fellow military spouse and the president of the Fort Bragg Association of Spouse, however you...
Association of Bragg Spouses.
Okay. So everywhere I think is going to have a variation of that name, but in the essence of it, it is a spouse association where they come together to support the community. And I'll let Renata tell us a little bit more about that. But first, why don't you tell us about your journey as a military spouse?
Oh, goodness. I became a military spouse like later in life. So I've lived a couple of lives.
How every single military spouse who's come in as a spouse later has said that I've lived one life, I've lived another. And so it's different, because I do think it's a different perspective of coming from like high school into military life. So that's a very interesting. I'm curious to see how your journey has been.
I feel like once you have had pre-military spouse life, there's like an immediate pivot. So I met my wife. She was like, I deploy in 3 days, so you better spend all the time you can with me. Didn't deploy for 3 weeks, so we had 3 weeks. She left. She was like, when we come back, we're getting married. So 9 months later, I was giving up my house in Raleigh to move to Fort Bragg with this person that I decided I was going to marry. And I think that transition was really big for me because I'm big about community.
Yeah.
I played sports in school. I played sports in college. I have always had a community around me. So when I got to Bragg and I really didn't have that, I was seeking it.
Yeah.
So I went like a crazy way of ending up at the Spouses Club. I found myself pregnant and I was like, okay, I can't make this 1.5-hour commute to Raleigh to hang out with friends anymore. I can barely sit in the car for 30 minutes without throwing up. So I need to find some type of life here in Bragg. I got this whole job doing military advocacy work for mental health resources. And someone asked me, had I reached out to the spouses club? And I was like, what is the spouses club?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So I was like, okay, went to the website, filled out a membership form. Someone called me and was like, hey, do you want to volunteer? And I was like, absolutely. What can I do? She was like, what do you want to do? I was like, anything you got, I'll take it on. 24 hours later, I was the vice president.
I love that.
So she was like, if you want to do it all, I'll give it to you all. So that was really a big pivot for me, because I went from maybe knowing 2 or 3, whoever your soldier is friends with, you become friends with their spouses.
Yep.
So I was just my wife's spouse all over. And once I joined the club, I became Renata, my own person.
I think that's such an important thing to state, is that if you're looking for community and you are going just through that avenue of being, you're just so-and-so's spouse. When you move into that arena of volunteering for an organization or something, or whatever the case may be, you become your identity, you find your purpose. Like that, I preach that all over everything about Deployed Love and the podcast. Like that is why I volunteered, because I needed to find myself when I feel like I had lost myself in so many things. I was working, I was a new mom. I had just had my second daughter, or not my second daughter, my second child. I just had my daughter, and I was just like, who am I? Like, I'm something years old and I'm just, who am I? When we move so often, like we lose our identity. And I think, especially when you're just picking up jobs that you can get. So a lot of times, like I joke all the time, everyone's probably, oh my God, Ashley's going to say it again. My resume looks like I literally Googled different jobs and copied and paste. Like there's no rhyme or reason to it. I've got everything from real estate to restaurant to contract work in a dock and door company to behavioral health. I'm all over the place. Okay. Great experience. I'm able, like, I can be like, I'm a jack of all trades, which I think is also a true representation for military spouses. But
absolutely,
I was like, none of this is fulfilling for me. Nothing that has makes me feel like what I'm doing is important or anything like that. And that's how volunteering has been a huge impact on that, of finding purpose, finding a community, and all the things. So if you're listening, you'll hear this a lot today. We encourage you to go volunteer. We encourage you to find that community in some capacity. And there's so many levels. Like I know Renata just said that she was just like, I went in and became vice president. That's not something you have to do.
No.
You can go in and just be like, hey, can I assist in like helping set up events or breaking down events or whatever the case may be. There's smaller roles that are just as important as those bigger roles that I think a lot of people don't think that it is. But if you can come in and find that, it really is helpful. So you became vice president. So how long have you been? My first question is though, because I want to kind of backtrack and then you can continue. How long had you been at Bragg before you were like volunteering? What was that like, becoming a military spouse and finding the spouse association? How long was that period for you?
It was a little bit longer for me because I am fortunate enough to where my community is only an hour and a half. So unfortunately, I was making that trek 2-3 times a week to go hang out with friends for probably the first year.
Okay.
And then I realized that's unreasonable. I've put in like 40,000 miles on my brand new car. I just
all the traffic and everything you were probably doing with driving up to Raleigh. Goodness.
And I was beasting it too. I probably made it through 20 different podcasts in that first year. But at one point I was like, this is where I live, to find my community here.
Yeah.
Which is really great because now I have people when I'm frustrated or upset or hurt, like I can call one of my Bragg Spouses Club friends and they're like, girl, we've been there.
Yep.
I am a first-time mom. When those ice storms came through, I was filling up the bathtub and I have a toddler. So I closed the door so the toddler did not make it to the bathtub. Overflowed the bathroom. No. Wife was gone. First day, hadn't even been gone 24 hours. I'm freaking out.
So Murphy showed up and decided that he was just going to just make the ice storm 10 times more fun for you, is what you're saying.
Yeah. All my spouse friends reached out. They're like, this is what happens whenever they leave. So whenever they leave, just expect for the worst things to happen. It's okay. We've all survived it.
They're
Another,
fun to laugh about later on after the
yeah,
experience is over with, but when it's happening, you're just like, "Why me?
why
Why me?"
me? And I think that's the most beautiful thing that I've gotten from the club is I have those friends now. I have those people who are like, yeah, you're a first time mom with a toddler. I promise you, the fact that she keeps playing with her belly button is completely normal.
Yes. And I think you made a very important like statement that you have to find people where you are. We tend to get into, especially as seasoned spouses, those who have been spouses who have been in the community for, I would say, let's say 10 plus years. A lot of spouses I've come in contact with have said it's just, we understand the importance of community, but at the same time, like we're just over having to make that friendship and keep that community going. But my thought process is like, there's levels of friendship for me. I don't know if
Mhm.
you feel that way too. You have like
Yeah,
your ride or
I
die,
do.
like they'll do anything for you. And then you have your acquaintances that love to go have coffee, go to a play date, girls' night out, things like that. And then you have like hey, like wave to each other in the commissary parking lot, like we're cordial, kids play together at the park, things like that.
Yeah.
Down the line, there's tiers to it. Do
Mhm.
not have to be the same level for each of those tiers as well. And I think like having people in each of those platforms is going to, one, you're building your network. Like
Yep.
each person is a network and each person has their own network. So it just like fans out all each different way. And
Mhm.
so if you're struggling with something or you're going through something, either your ride or dies are going to be like, I'm coming over, we're handling this together. Or someone along that other tier is going to be like, hey, actually, I have a great resource. Or hey, something similar happened to me and this is how I fixed it. Whatever the case may be, but coming into a location with the mindset of, I'm not going to make friends with the military spouses because I heard they're just horrible people. Okay,
Yeah.
let's get that out of our brains, everybody. There are bad apples in every single
Yes.
society group. Okay, every single group is going to have bad apples.
Mhm.
I think that we are a little bit more knowledgeable about that because one, social media, but two, because we move so often and spouses are a little bit more, those who don't go into the community are going to be more likely to try to bring that community down. And
Mhm.
even if it's not intentional, I genuinely feel sometimes it's really unintentional that this is what they're doing. And so like comments like military spouses are dependas and they're just there for whatever reason, or that they're just not nice or anything like that. Genuinely, like I would say 9 out of 10 times the spouses that I meet are truly the most genuinely kind,
Yes.
smartest, most compassionate, most driven. Every single word you can think of that is a positive, that's what they are. But I have come across people who are, again, if we just talked about this on our episode about style guys, so 2 episodes before this, or a few episodes,
Yeah.
but we talk about how military spouses, you have to portray yourself in one way. If you're portraying yourself negatively, you're going to be viewed negatively.
Yeah.
And you can't listen to the bad things. I know, and we can probably touch a little bit on this because I don't know if this is something you wanted to touch on, but I know for
Yeah.
me, a lot of spouses typically won't go to the spouse association because of the negative stigma that comes along with it being like, oh, that's just the officer wives club, or oh, this is just for the higher ranking service member spouses, like their clique, so they can determine yes or no. I'm not saying that's not happened before because I'm sure,
Yeah.
again, we had someone in that position who made you feel uncomfortable. But again, have grace with everybody. You never know. We're military spouses. You have no idea what that person was going through on that day that could have made it
Mhm.
seem that they didn't want to talk to you. Because I promise you, anyone who's in the position of a spouse association club, whether especially like president, vice president, any of those higher up ones, they're not there because they were voluntold. They're there because they truly want to give back to the community and they
Yes.
want to support military families. So we'll go into that. Or if you want to go into how he became vice president of the Fort Bragg,
Yes. Yes.
how was your experience in coming in the very first part of it?
I had a great experience because one of the things that I am is I'm a social creature by nature. I want to get to know everyone, and also I am very understanding. So one of the pieces that you just spoke on was what I describe as the culture of the club.
Yeah.
Like, how are people going to feel when they come into this group? Because you're coming into a group if you've not participated prior.
Yep.
And the biggest thing that I want the club to have is the most welcoming, that's my big thing, casual environment, because we're all just creatures trying to.
Not corporate,
No,
no like
no.
skills or anything like that. Yeah.
No, just come as you are. Because we're all like, the thing about, once again, being a military spouse is we're all trying to find our identity.
Mhm.
Because when you pick up and move or go, you're just this person's spouse. So then you have to, once again, create your own identity. And some people struggle with that. But having a place where you can come as you are and know that you're accepted, that's the biggest culture that I try to like instill in our club. Some people do think it's an officers club. I can say with 100%, my entire board, we are all enlisted spouses.
Yep. And
We are enlisted spouses.
I feel over the years, a lot more spouses are realizing that it's not a officers club. And maybe back in the day, you guys are, I'm talking like 10, 15 years ago. It
Yes.
probably was.
Yeah.
But all the members that I know, one of my coordinators is the president for the Carson. And then I'm
Mhm.
really good friends with the president here at Fort Benning. And they're all just, Jen, our coordinator at Carson, she is our coordinator. She's been a coordinator for Deployed Love for 5 years. She's been the president of the Spouse Association there for, I think this is her 3rd year.
Wow.
She does so many things. And so and it all comes down to making sure that military spouses feel supported and they can give back to the community. So let's talk about, so we've talked about how like it's important to have a community and why it's important to do that. And let's first talk about what the Spouse Association is. Like we'll talk about Bragg's, and then we can maybe touch on a couple other ones, like maybe what other people do. But I think similarly, especially for Army, they're all set up pretty similarly in terms of what they do at each base. I can at least say Bragg, Benning, and Carson almost identical in what they do. They may call their things something slightly different, but they do the same thing.
Yeah.
So what are the core programs that Bragg has in place?
So I always explain the club as it's split into 2 different So first and foremost, we're a philanthropic organization. Our whole goal from everything that we do is to raise funds to give out scholarships. We give out high school senior scholarships. We give out continuing education scholarships for any military dependent. So it could be a spouse, it can be, I don't know, if your mother-in-law is a dependent and wants to go back to school, they can apply. We do welfare grants for the other nonprofits in the area. And the unique thing about Bragg is we have so many nonprofits.
There are so many nonprofits at Fort Bragg, and it can be a deterrent, but as a nonprofit that has benefit from the Fort Bragg Association for several years, having the opportunity to apply for money when the pool is so saturated to get donations has truly been a blessing for Deployed Love, because there's been a lot of events that we have not been able to put on because we were not able to fundraise or get donations or sponsorships. But because we were able to apply for the community grant, we were able to put on those events for military families. And so I love this program. And I think almost all of the other associations have a program like that. I think each of them operate a little bit differently. Like I know some you can apply for the grants multiple times a year, some you can only do it once a year, some you can do it once a month. So you have to check. If you're listening, you're like, ooh, I should look into this. Definitely look at the website for that installations, because every single one is different. So that's just a little note for anyone, because we just learned that. I was always like, oh, they're set up like quarterly, like Bragg is, which I don't even know if you're still quarterly, but we
are annually now.
Okay. Yeah. The Benning one is annually now too. But our Nellis team, which is Air Force, so I think that's why it's a little different. I think theirs is set up like where you can apply for it monthly. And
I would love to get us there.
Yeah, that's really great. I love that it's annually. I just know that for us as a smaller nonprofit, we know we have 2 big events every single year. But anything else in between is something that's just dependent on our volunteers, because again, we rely solely on volunteers. We're 100% volunteer ran and operated organization.
Same.
So it all comes down to that. So you have, and we'll probably touch base on that in a little bit, but
Yeah.
so you have your grants and your
Scholarship and
scholarships
welfare
and all those
grants.
things like that. And then what's that
Yeah.
next component?
Is the social aspect. So we're also a social organization. So we spend a lot of time, and this is primarily my role when I came on as VP, was to coordinate social events. So we do coffee meetups, we do book club, night outs. My first day like drinking after breastfeeding, we all went to Guacaholics, and I had so many martinis, it would have blown your mind. So we go out and we have fun. Like we do line dancing. We have monthly luncheons. So we had a Galentine's Day luncheon where we all exchange our favorite gifts and we made cute bouquets nights. I really want to do a pajama party, but no one else is like on board with that. So I'm still trying to make it
What?
happen.
I would be down for that. So I was heavily involved in the Bragg one when we were living there. I went to the luncheons. I didn't go to all the clubs just because my schedule with Deployed Lab and stuff like that. But I did at least go to the luncheons and all the different things. Here I have not been able to attend because I'm currently homeschooling my kids. So my kids are with me all the time and my husband's solo parenting. So I got a sitter for this Friday so I could go to event Friday. So it's a crafting one. And I'm so excited because at times you have to get a sitter.
Yeah.
At times. So I was telling the president here, I was like, I'm so excited for when Jeremy gets home because then I can come to more events. Like even if it's like I drop them off with him for the hour to go to the luncheon or something like that. They're old enough that they could sit in his office and do schoolwork if he's still working.
Yeah.
That's if we continue homeschooling. That's a whole nother story, friends. But it's so exciting because when you're when people who go to these events and are running these events, they're there for the same reason. They're there for community, whether it's a spouse association, deployed love, an instant team community event. There's so many different amazing, the USO, there's so much out there that if you just take the moment to say, okay, today's the day. I am going to leave this house. I'm going to look put together. I'm going to put on something other than yoga pants and I'm going to go find my community. What's great about it is there's so many. So if one program doesn't work for you for whatever reason, there's another program to try out or there's another group. Cause I love how there are so many little clubs. Do you guys call them clubs too? Clubs within the spouse association. So there's the book club.
Yeah.
Is that what you guys call them? Do you guys call them clubs too?
I call them internal clubs. So they're like little bitty clubs inside your club.
Yeah. So there's different ones. I think what's really cool about that is if there's something that's not in the internal clubs and you want to create it, all you have to do is say, hey, can I host? Can I do this? Now, I know that like some people, I know for me, because I have kids that are older, not like a baby, like a lap baby, it's harder for me to go, which for Deployed Love, that's why we've always just tried to make everything as inclusive as possible because we know like sometimes you can't get a sitter. But again, like we have a coffee this Thursday too for our spouse association. And I messaged him. I was like, hey, like how mad are people going to be if I show up with the kids?
Not at all.
And she's not enough. She's unless like it specifically says no kids, like obviously the luncheons or the like girls' night out, like those obviously I'm like, yeah, no, those are obviously not kids, but a coffee meetup, like
bring your kids.
I was like, I would love to be able to participate in some of these activities until I have the more freedom to do, because as much as I would love to get a sitter weekly, it's not.
Well, that's one thing that we do. So if we have a big event and we have enough spouses who are like, can we bring kids? I will find a sitter. We have space on base. We can set them up with toys. We'll find a couple people to provide childcare.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I will, and if you have a spouse association that does do that, I would 100% advertise it because I think you would have more people coming to events, because I know that's been a huge deterrent for me, but it wasn't when I didn't have my kids with me 24/7. And my kids are older. I also should notate that they're 8 and 11. So they are older. So they're
adults.
I mean, at this point, they would be completely like they would literally sit in the corner if Simon like, hey,
Yeah.
get your tablet for this period of time. They're like, cool, great, we'll see you. Peace.
Yeah.
We'll see you in 2 hours, mom. When they were younger, it was definitely much harder to keep them entertained during events. But I do know that a lot of the spouses who are probably looking for community are going to have kids who are between that
Yep.
1 to 5 age who are not in school yet. And
Mhm.
don't be afraid to ask, hey, I really want to come to this club, but I do not have a community here yet, and I cannot afford a sitter to do this. Is it going to be a big deal to bring it? And worst case is I'm going to say, hey, unfortunately, this is an adult only, but this event and this event, kids are more than welcome to come. Or you know what? Hey, let's look into see if we can give sitter. My thing is the why not? Like I think this is going to be a
Exactly.
reoccurring theme that you guys hear this season from me. That why not is it can lead to so many doors just opening for you. Just take the chance, that brave little step to say, hi, my name is so and I want to join. How can I join? Or just showing up to an event. You'll never know. Like, it's so important. You never know if it's going to be the right fit for you. You're never going to know if you're going to find your best friend. I have found my very best friends in Deployed Love, Spouse Association meetups, or some other form of community event. I'm not even kidding, guys. I'm not saying that to try to get you guys to come to things. Truly, some of my very best friends that I have currently right now, who are my ride and dies, have come from attending an SFRG meeting for my husband's unit, which I know is a whole nother story for people and they don't want to go to it, has been attending or volunteering for Deployed Love, attending spouse associations, or some type of other networking event where I just had that chance to meet someone and just been like, hey, I mean, I met this lady yard selling, you guys, the other day, yard selling. And she was just like, can we be friends? And I was like, yes. Like I was like, hey, here's my business card. Send me an email or text me. Because I was like, we just started chatting and
Yeah.
I knew she was military because she had posted it on the military page. And we had just started talking about like where we were beforehand and like where we were on our journey with weight loss and things like that. We're just, we should be friends. And it was just that little, we should be friends. Like we should meet up for like outside.
Yes.
And it's great. You never know. And then maybe she'll text me, maybe she won't. But at the end of the day, like if I run into her again, we're gonna be like, oh, I know, I remember you and like the conversation we have, and it's just another friendly face. So
Yeah.
why not have just taken that step, especially if you're introverted? I think we have so many. I think you're right. COVID really created us into
It
even
closed off a lot of people.
even those extroverts, because I'm an extroverted person. But I have definitely been a little bit more introverted. One, as I get older, I think that's just something where I'm just like, I take the time to sit back and watch other people. But at the same time, there's times where I'm like, oh, my social battery. Do I want to do this? Which my brain is like, yes, actually, you have to do this. This is your event. You have to go to it. Like you plan this, you have to show up. But then you show up and you're like, oh, this was the best thing ever. This is phenomenal. We're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
So the social
It really breaks my heart because we're all on the spouses page.
Yeah.
And so we see the posts where people are like, I desperately want friends. I desperately want community. And I'm like, just
it's
come.
here. I know.
I promise we don't bite.
I made a whole post about this actually on the Benning page because I was getting so frustrated because I was seeing post after post of, does anyone want to be my friend? Or there's nothing to do here. And I'm like, I've literally hosted 3 events this week. What do you mean there's nothing to do? Or there's no community? And on top of the other organizations that I know who are hosting events. And so I, even like the USO, I've gone to the USO events the last couple weeks, and I noticed that it was the same families that were coming. I didn't really see any new families. And I was just like curious because why are there all these spouses saying, I need this, I need the support, I need this, but then you're not taking that like why not that step to, we can only do so much as organizations. I try to tell people that all the time. We can only do so much, but at the end of the day, if spouses are not utilizing the programs, they're unfortunately going to go away. I've already seen several organizations either dwindle and fall off or stop hosting events at certain locations because they don't have participation. And some of these events cost a lot of money, friends. And so a lot of money that could have been used to something else. And I'm not saying that to for any other reason, just to say people are putting in the work to make sure that there is a community for families. And if you want that community, you have to take that. We can't force you to come. Like, I would love to come over and be like, hey, come here, which is why I also host a lot of events at the parks, because then I'm like, I can do that.
So we do a lot of play dates.
A lot of our play dates, like all of our events are typically, and we typically have more participation when we are on post. But I will 100%, like if it's an event specifically for kids, like if it's a craft or something like that, I will, like, I'm so bummed because we have an event today. So we're recording on St. Patrick's Day. So we have a St. Patrick's Day event, and it was supposed to be outside. We were going to make wind catchers and have like sweet treats and stuff, but it's just too cold. Thankfully,
It's
the USO
freezing.
was just like, I went over to the USO and I was like, hey, do you have anything scheduled? And they're like, nope. And I was like, can I use your space? And they're like, yep. They're like, are you okay with extra people? I was like, yep. And again, like networking and working together is so important. And will we have a bunch of people attend today? I don't know. It's cold. I know people like it's too cold to even leave the home, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But it maybe gets to the point where like we've been bundled up in this house for 3 days. Let's go to an event. If you're advertising it and you're making sure that information's getting out and you see it, just go. And if you walk in and it's pure chaos, just be like, okay, I can't do this. If you're like, my anxiety can't handle this, it's okay. Or go sit in the corner. Because I know if I see a family come in and they go sit in the corner, I'm still going to come over and say hi. Now, if you're in a public place, like a coffee shop, and you go sit in the corner, please don't come back and say, no one said hi to me. You have to at least say for the event. The amount of spouses where like, there was no room at the table. If you had walked over, we would have made room. We would have moved tables, all the things. Like, these programs are here for community. So we have our community programs. What's your favorite like internal club?
My favorite internal club is probably Wine and Dine.
I love Wine and Dine
because I like going out. I am a toddler mom, and I want a good meal, and I want to drink occasionally.
It's not even a good meal. It is a warm meal that you are not having to share or stop every 2 seconds to stop eating. Those were my favorites as well. Like having that time to just go, even if you don't know anyone, it's still such a good time, because if you get sat next to someone, we had a coffee the other day where 2 spouses show up. And most of the moms that came had kids, but these 2 spouses show up. Their moms with their kids were in school, and they sat over at the table and chatted for 2.5 hours. Like, they were still chatting like when everyone else was leaving. And it was just like myself and Alyssa, who was the coordinator for this event, we both just kept on looking at it going like, how great is it that they've hit it off and they've been able to chat about whatever they're chatting about, and they are just having a great time, because you never know. And I think that's important. Like, even if it's a play date, or not even play date, but if it says a play date, especially for deployed love, like my play dates are play dates. They started off as coffees, but people would bring their little kids, and so it turned into like a play date. So we always try to have somewhere where there's something to keep the kids entertained. But it's a time for the spouses to get together and be able to have a community. And if you are looking for that and your kids are in school, but you're looking for that, still come. And I think it's important that, hey, this is the only event that fits my schedule. I have kids, but they're not little kids. Most of these moms have older kids too. Just come. I don't know. I feel like I'm just going to.
I think from my perspective, because we tend to have at least 1 or 2 kids at every event, that your child. Yeah. If your child is going to be upset and bothered by being in a room of maybe middle-aged women, maybe don't bring them to that event. But most of the kids just come in with their tablets, or they come and they sit down. If you have a baby, bring the baby. I want to hold your baby. If you want 2 hours of no baby, bring me your baby. I will hold that baby the whole time.
Keep shouting this with my whole chest. I'm not having babies anymore, my friends. I would love baby snuggles. If I could just snuggle that baby and get my baby fix, where you can have free arms for however long we're meeting, I will change diapers too. That's if you're comfortable with. Obviously, I think that's like a comfortable level. But let me love on this little angel so you can have a moment to breathe. Yes. I went to the Mill Spouse Fest. We were here at Benny a few weeks ago, and Jen and Jess, who are the coordinators for that, the ones who run everything for that, literally stole a baby for almost the entire time. And they were running around doing everything that they were having to do with this itty bitty baby so that this mama could sit there and enjoy the festivities and all the things without having to worry about this. And he just slept. He just slept the whole time. And I literally sat over there and I was like, why didn't I have that idea? Like, I could be holding that little squishy little stinker butt and just be like smelling baby vibes and just getting the baby fix. Yes. I remember as a mom, I was always worried that my baby would be an inconvenience. And I think we as moms have that mentality of, if what is she or he cries, or I have to leave suddenly because of whatever the case may be. But we were at a homeschool group the other day, and one of our moms had a toddler, and we're all just sitting there, and then all of a sudden he just like kind of threw up in his mouth and then threw up. And she was flabbergasted about how quick we were to help rather than going, ew, why is he sick and why do you have him here with a bunch of kids? Absolutely not. Like, I ran one way and mom ran the other way and then mom ran the other way. We all ran to our cars to see what we had to help because he was just like, he projectile vomited all over her. I felt so bad. And we were all just, what can we do to help? And she was just like, I don't even have words for you guys right now. I don't know. Like, I'm so thankful that you guys, instead of just backing away and leaving me to do this on my own, like, you guys took the moment to help. And I was like, do you want me to stand here? And thankfully, like, I knew the kid and stuff. We've been coming to the homeschool group for a while, but I was like, you want me to hold him while you go clean up? And she's like, no, I'll take him in with me. He's okay. But first off, moms are moms. We understand that shit's happen. I at the end of the day, like, we're here to support you. We understand the frustrations of being that primary parent and having everything on your shoulders and caring for the kids, all that kind of stuff. You need breaks and help too. And if you're not going to ask for help, I will 100% be like, hey, you seem a little frustrated. I will be more than happy to sit next to you and hold your baby. You may not know to Timbuktu, but I am a mom and I see that you need a break and I need a baby fix.
I mean,
mutually
beneficial relationship. Give me.
It is. I love that so much.
I love it.
So let's dive into the parts about volunteering, because we touched base on this a little bit, because the Spouse Association programs like Deployed Love and other programs are all heavily and really rely on volunteers. Actually, let's backtrack 1 sec. So do you guys also do the thrift store? So how do you guys raise the funds? Let's go back.
So we no longer have the thrift store. So we do not. So the ASYMCA took over our thrift store, I think back in 2022, because we didn't have enough volunteers. COVID came.
See what happens when you don't use resources and you don't help?
But we do have our gift shop. So we do have a gift shop on base called Bragg Unique Boutique. We sell custom Fort Bragg items. So you can get anything made there. So it could have your unit on it. It could have lovely words to your spouse. It's really cute. I try to buy cute things. It's all military oriented. So if you have not been, but you're in and around Bragg, come to Bragg Unique Boutique. Buy something, please. All the money from that store does go towards our scholarship and welfare grants.
I love it.
So that's the major component. We also have our fundraisers. So we have a Christmas time fundraiser called Tour of Homes, where we ask our Normandy members to open up their doors so they have the historic homes on base. They deck them out in full Christmas everything. Like, these are some beautiful homes. They're decorated beautifully. We all walk around, go in, get some Christmas spirit, eat some Christmas treats, have some drinks, and just meander around. And we end with a beautiful reception with wonderful food. So that's our Christmas fundraiser. We also have a spring fundraiser that we normally do. I know most clubs do a Vice Night.
Yeah. Which is so much fun. If you haven't gone to a Vice Night, they're super fun. They're always themed. You can do it a couple ways. You can go like just as a couple or by yourself, or you can get a table or all the things, but it's super fun. I've gone to a few Vice Nights, so it's definitely a good time. Maybe give back to the community by bidding on an item.
Yep.
Is that how you guys still do it? Do you still do like the auction?
So we have not done Vice Night in 2 years
Oh, what?
because
Okay.
we don't have enough volunteers.
Yeah. Again, it all comes down to it. Like, it's really
Yeah.
hard to do programs, even programs like for Deployed Love, where it's just like that, mostly that community aspect. If we don't
Yeah.
have the volunteers, like, we keep getting, why aren't you at this base? And I'm like, we would love to be there, but like, we have
We
to
need
have
help.
a person, boots on the ground, to do it. And like, fortunately, like, one person at each installation technically could do our programs, but it's still a lot of work on one person's
It
shoulder,
is.
depending on how much community you're wanting to build. And
Mhm.
so that's bummer. I didn't realize you guys haven't had a Vice Night in 2 years.
I'm to get back
Mhm.
somewhat. So we're gonna do a spring fundraiser, and the reason why is because most people assume with Vice Night, I don't know why, people assume it involves gambling. There's no gambling. Um, but also I'm trying to find the most cost-effective way to make a fundraiser happen.
Yeah.
So it might be a really cute Kentucky Derby themed brunch coming down the
Oh, that's
pipeline.
fun.
So, yeah, we're gonna have a whole lead up to it where our members are gonna be able to make their own fascinators. So I have a plan in mind. It's not Vice Night,
But I
but
feel like when we have to pivot and turn, that's
yeah,
okay. I think that's, again, like, just truly embodies military life and military spouses that,
yeah,
hey, like, this is not work. We haven't been able to do this for the last couple of years. Let's try something new. Let's try
yeah,
something different. And so I think that we just have to do what we can. And that's all that matters. And as long as we're at least still trying to get to the next point, but for those who are listening, please attend these events, attend these fundraiser events,
yeah,
because all that does is, like, depending on like the cost, like, you might be like, oh, that's expensive. But if you have the mentality of, okay, it's expensive, but this money goes directly back into our community, whether that's through
yes,
a scholarship for somebody, a grant for a local organization, or whatever case. Like I said, I would say at least 3 times, maybe more. We have applied for the grant and got the grant for our program, specifically our Purple event in April and our holiday minis in November. We have utilized the grants for both of those programs, and we
mhm,
wouldn't have been able to do those events the way that we do them at Bragg, which is we go big for those events. Our holiday minis, like, we have Santa and Mrs. Claus. We have all these different things. We have all the photographers and things like that for those free photos for deployed family member or deployed service members, families, that, if you just participate with that mindset of, this is supporting the greater military community, that cost isn't as hard to swallow. And 9 out
yeah.
of 10 times the cost isn't really even that bad. So
And something else I tell people is if we have volunteers that can only volunteer like in the evening, we'll make events around that.
yeah,
My biggest thing I tell my volunteers, you tell me how much time you have.
yeah.
If you can't show up for me physically and be in the space, I
There's
can give
something
you
you can
some
do behind.
remote stuff to do.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's
If you only have an
always
hour a week, I want it. If you could give me 1 hour a week, I want it. 1
yes.
hour a month, give it to me. I
Yes.
will do whatever.
Yes. Again, and ask the why. Like, so the Fort Benning still has a thrift store. I think the Carson still has a thrift store as well.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
they're always asking for volunteers. And I actually have to go over there today, and I'm going to be like, hey, again, like, I am more than happy to come help sort stuff, but they will have to be with me, because they do have there's obviously rules and everything like that. But
Mhm.
I'm like, they don't even have to touch anything. Like, they can just sit there on the
Yeah.
floor. But I was like, I'll be more than happy to come over and help price and sort things. But I am also like, I'm not going to spend $70 on a sitter to do that. When I can spend that $70, I would rather give you the $70 to go towards something.
Yeah. Our store, if our volunteer has a kid, we have a back room.
Yeah.
They can go back there, do homework, watch TV while they run the store. Like we allow it. Like we
Yeah.
know spouses are most times
They're
left
solo
at home.
parenting. Yeah. Like, we understand
Yeah.
that. Even if they're like, hey, we could be like, yeah, my husband will be home tonight, I'll be able to come. You never know what's going to happen. You never know if they get back from the field and nods are missing and they're there for another 4 hours. You never know. And so having that
You never
flexibility.
know if they have a 24 CQ duty that they forgot about.
Oh my gosh, that they forgot about.
That they forgot about.
The
So,
amount of times my husband, funny story is, I remember there was a few years ago. So this was before my husband went on ROTC assignment. I like text him and I was like, hey, what time are you going to be home tonight? And this was like Monday, guys, mind you, Thursday. And I'm like, what the hell do you mean Thursday? He goes, I'm in the field. I'm like, I thought your field training, according to the calendar you gave me, is next week. He
Yeah.
goes, oh no, it moved up. And I'm like, so when was that conversation of, hey, I will be gone tonight, tomorrow, and the next night?
Yeah.
So I think this was like a Tuesday. So it was like 2 nights. And I was just like, okay. I was like, he's like, I told you. I was like, you absolutely did not tell me because I put these things on my calendar and this is on my calendar for next week. And so I was so mad. And
I got to the
my fault. And I'm like, it is your fault. You did not communicate this with me.
No, I've gotten to the point where like I expect to be the solo parent. Like I go into the office once a week. And so the expectation was this one day a week, you will take the child to daycare. 3 weeks in, I now understood that I would be the only person taking child to daycare.
Yeah. At this point, I'm like, I just do everything. Like and I think especially I'm always like kudos to the families that continue to try, especially like the younger spouses and stuff like that who are like, oh no, he does this all the time. I'm like, I'm so happy for you. I'm truly happy for you. Like that's not been my journey. And that's okay. Cause again, every journey's different, my friends. I'm wearing my dainty necklace. Every path is different. Our ups, our downs they may be similar, but they're not the same. And don't compare yourself. I think that's important not to compare yourself to other journeys. And I think that's an important lesson on the outlook of military life is that even those who think that they have it figured out, like I had someone ask me the other day, like, how do you have this all figured out? I was like,
Don't.
I don't. I was like, listen, I just do my best. And I will tell you that there are days where I'm like, what on earth am I doing? Why am I doing all these things?
Yep.
And then there's other days where I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. I love everything I do and all the things. And just because someone looks like they have everything put together, even if they look like they don't have everything put together, they may have everything like handled. You don't know. So don't compare. And if you are looking for that community, if you are looking for whatever it is that you need, take that like initiative step of saying, I'm going to do this today. And if that is joining the spouse association, then join. So you can sign up on a website. On every website. So if you could either go to the spouse pages and type it in. I'm sure you'll see a post, or you can Google Fort Benning Spouse Association or Fort Carson or Fort Rucker or wherever you are stationed out and put that in. It will most likely pop it up and you can sign up from there. It's typically a very minimal fee for the year. I think everyone's going to be different, so I'm not going to give a price on that.
Yeah. And most clubs, their cycle goes through June, so it could be free for some clubs because it's only 2 months left in your membership.
I think I signed up for the Benning one and it was like halfway through the year. So like it was 50% off for me, which was great because I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm going to go ahead. And I always sign up just because I think it's important for me to network and things like that. So I've always signed up for spouse associations where I'm at, even if I'm not able to utilize all of the programs. Like for me, it's when I'm giving back to that program to support things that have supported my family personally, to also be in the know and get the information so I can share those with other spouses. And again, like if you are part of the association, or any network and any program, you are the biggest form of advertisement for those programs. Hey, you met this mom at the park and she's like, I just haven't met a community. And I'm like, what are your likes? Oh, I'm really big into crafting. Perfect. The Spouse Association has a craft club. They meet once a week or once a month or whatever the case, and they do all these different things. And just come. Oh, I have 3 kids. Okay, fine. Bring them. Or better yet, you be the host. And then
love it. Host, yes.
Yeah, if you host the matter, that's totally fine. There's just so many things that you can do if you just take the initiative, or if you're the spouse are like, hey, I'm a part of this program. We go do this play date, or hey, like in those comments, tag the like the amount of times, guys, that I go in and tag Deployed Love, the Spouse Association, instant teams here at Fort Benning every single time I see those posts, because they all do the community events.
Yep.
There should be like, oh, I don't know what that is, because it's everywhere.
There's so many.
Yeah.
I will also say a good part of joining the Spouses Club is we do a newsletter. A newsletter not only includes our events, but any nonprofit, any event going on in the community, I will put it in there.
Perfect.
So if anything's happening, at least sign up so you can get a list of all the happenings that are happening, the things that are happening in the community.
And I think that's one, just a huge perk, because that's where the podcast came from, was because there's so many resources out there that people don't know about. I've been a part of this community for over 35 years, guys, and I still learn about a new program weekly, if not weekly, or at least monthly. But I'm learning about new programs, new nonprofits, even programs that I'm very familiar with, learning new things that are in their programs, because we grow. Just like we're humans and we grow, we continue to grow through different seasons, so do programs. Deployed Love has grown from where we just did the photographs to that community aspect, because our families were just like, this was so important to us and we really wish that we had more of this. And we're like, done. Like, we can make that happen.
Yeah.
And networking and all those things has just been a huge help to learn to help support military families. And the individuals that are in these positions, especially the Spouse Association, I will say, at least from my experience, most individuals who are at least in a board position on the Spouse Associations are very knowledgeable in other programs that are in the area.
Yeah.
They're going to know a good contact, or they're going to go a good, hey, like, your child is in different type of therapies. Hey, there's this organization that provides X, Y, and Z for this. They're going to be able to be that stepping stone for you, which is part of their part of the program. Like, for me, that's how I view it. Like, they're there to help build a community, but also connect the community to each other for the military.
Yeah.
How many
We're
times can I say
actually
community in a sentence?
hosting a resource fair in April. So I know a lot of resource fairs on base focus on what the MWR units provide. Yeah. So this is going to focus on those external organizations and what they can provide. We're going to have people giving financial information, scholarship information. Apparently there are several scholarships that spouses can apply for and receive instantly. They don't know about.
So I actually had a wonderful call with another spouse recently, and I don't even know if she's a spouse now that I think about it. I think she just has worked with military community for so long that she's just like, why isn't there a completed guide for all of the different resources out there? And she's done that.
I want to make that.
She has already done it. Partners with Purpose. If you look them up, she has curated a list of over 250 scholarships. I think she said 250. That's not only just for kids, but spouses as well. It doesn't, there's for higher education, all the things are in there. And she has vetted them, and she continues to go through and vet them and make sure that all the things are there. And there are all these resources out there. Because my goal, I've always wanted to create like because there's so many resources, guys. There's all these different ones, but I'm like, I want one where it's all encompassed and has everything. And I'm realizing that there might be one already out there, some kind of that they're already working on one. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel, y'all. So I'm like, how can I assist them in getting the information? Because I truly believe that if we have easy access that's vetted, I think that's important, because we can go and Google and we're always kind of like, is this legit? Like, how is it? I've never heard of it. Like, I'm sure people are like, oh, I've heard about Deployed Love, but I thought it was only for families service members who are deployed. No, we are here to provide support before, after, and during, because you need support during all of them. I personally think reintegration is the worst part of deployment season. And so I think you need support during all of those. So our programs are open to you no matter what season of military life you're in. Other than our holiday minis, which is designated and specific for families who have service members deployed over the holiday season. That's the only one. So we're here to give you guys that support, that community, because you don't need it just during deployments. You need to have it
Yeah.
building up to deployments, and you need it after the deployment. So we're here no matter what. And so if you find your community, you find the organizations that work with you, even if you are like, I just haven't, like the amount of spouses who came to this Mill Spouse Fest who's, I've heard of you, I follow you guys, I just haven't been able to come. I'm like, hey, I'm glad you follow us. I'm glad you know who we are. I'm going to encourage you to come to an event when you
Yes.
can, but know that we're always going to be here. We're going to be here. If you're not at one of our installations where we have active coordinators, we have a virtual community. I always tell people, I was literally handing my cards out. I was like, text me, send me a message,
Yeah.
email me if you have a question. Like the amount of like I call them baby spouses, but they're not I mean, they are babies to me. Anyone who is like in their first year of military life, like
Newer spouses.
new spouses. If
Yeah.
you are navigating these waters, one, please, just ignore the spouse groups and take everything with a grain of salt and do your own research. And if you were like, I don't want to do my own research, then reach out to the Spouse Association or Deployed Love or one of the organizations who literally part of their mission is to do the legwork for you and vet and find the things.
I have this habit where anytime someone asks a question, I'm ADHD, so I'm scrolling on TikTok 90% of the time, or I'm on Facebook. If someone asks a question, I'll take note of it, find the answer, and then next time, because one big question is the spouse is like, hey, my husband is deployed. Do you know if I can get childcare to help? And I'm like, oh, let me Google this. Okay, deployed spouses are entitled to up to 16 hours a month of free childcare through this, and send it to them. I want to comprise all of that together somehow.
Yeah. I think collectively, I think Five and Thrive is the program. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they've had a resource guide for a while, but they have announced recently that they've expanded it. And so I haven't had a chance to dive into it yet, but I'm if it's where I think it's going, I'm about to be like, hey, how can we support this? Because I've already done a lot of research. I've got things collectively put to the side on my spreadsheet of like resources and things like that from we've been doing the podcast for 6 years. This is our 6th season. All of these seasons, we have interviewed all of these amazing different organizations. So if this is your first episode and you're listening in, go back and listen to them. Ignore our first season. We did not know what we were doing. Again, this was literally an ADHD moment of, we should do a podcast.
I love that for you.
And that's exactly what happened. And it was another, why not? Like, why not? What's the worst can happen? What's the worst that can happen? And it turned into not only an amazing thing where we can research and share resources and stories that are important to hear, but this is one of my favorite things to do. Like I get to connect with another person about our community and get to share knowledge that needs to be shared. It's my happy place. This is growing up as a military brat and had been a military spouse for over 15 years. It'll be 16 years this year. And I'm just kind of wow. It's so heartwarming to see so many people come together to build a community and support for spouses, especially when you go into those spouse pages and it's a lot of negativity. And that can be such a deterrent for especially new spouses. They're coming in, they're just like, oh, this person was mean and this person was mean. The social media friends.
Grain of salt.
Grain of salt. Like if you have a question and you are going, I'm always kind of thinking like, if you're airing your dirty laundry, you set yourself up for that negativity. But if you're there asking genuinely for support, recommendations, hopefully you're met with compassion and grace. For those who are responding, you don't know their story. You don't know their story. You don't know if this person's a new spouse or anything like that, or if they've had any type of support through their journey, that they genuinely may not know something. As a military spouse of 16 years, there's some things where I'm just like, ooh, do I know this? Or, ooh, this has probably changed in the 16 years that I've experienced this. I know my experience going through basic training and all those type of things is completely different from those who are going through it right now. Completely different. So for those who are responding going, in my day, it doesn't matter. Our journeys are different. Our paths are different. we can only uplift each other. We can only provide love and support to each other. And so when you're bringing down one spouse, you're bringing down, for me, the whole community. And so if you don't want this community to be, I don't know, the black sheep of the military community, because I feel like a lot of people are just like, military spouses don't do this. Military spouses don't do this. Military spouses don't do this. And I'm like, okay, these 3 military spouses have doctorate degrees and
Yes.
they can work a full-time job, have 4 kids, can pick up their house on a dime and move halfway around the world and still
Yep.
look completely put together. Like, military spouses are a whole breed of creatures, like,
Yes.
that we're designed, because we have to go through the trenches first to get there. Like, I do genuinely
Yep.
feel like you have to go through the trenches, but once you get through it, you come out. I hate the word resiliency when I explain. I don't hate the word, but I feel like that word is always tagged to military spouses, that
Yeah.
we're resilient, but that shouldn't define you. Like, resiliency shouldn't define you because, oh, you're just resilient. No, I did a damn lot of work to get where I
Mhm.
am to be this resilient, and that should
Yep.
be reflected in that work. I just didn't become resilient overnight. I went
Mhm.
through a traumatic birth, and because the healthcare that I have is poor or inconsistent or unreliable, I have had 13 different jobs in a 9-year span because we've moved every 2 years,
Mhm.
or I'm not able to work because the childcare cost where we live and the housing cost where we live is so
Yep.
astronomically more than what we are allotted that I physically can't work because I can't afford to pay a roof over our head, as well
Mhm.
as childcare. There's so many different things that go into creating a resilient military spouse.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people take that for granted, especially even our kids. Like, our kids are resilient, but they're
It takes a
resilient.
lot. It takes a lot to get there.
It does.
You
It
have
takes
to
a lot.
go through it.
And it's okay. It's okay for days where you're like, you don't feel like you can take on the military life.
Mhm.
As, again, someone who's been in the community for 35 plus years, this 35 plus years is much older than that, but I'm going to not count my infant years. Okay.
Okay.
So as someone who has been in this community for so long, there are days where I'm just like, why are we still part of this community? You're going to have those days, but then, and there's days where I'm like, I need help. I need someone to be in my ball court and to have my back. And it's okay to say that. Don't
Yep.
be the spouse who's, I'm better off just staying home alone and just putting my head down and making it through the next 2 years. No. I just had a conversation with my friend here who has had a very different experience as a military spouse.
Mhm.
She was at Bragg for 7 years straight, and her husband's
Oh.
here at Benning on drill, and she is absolutely miserable. And I had to sit her down the other day and was like, okay, Benning's not that bad. I was like, let's chat through it. Okay. First, you have a negative a viewpoint on Benning because you had you didn't have a great experience when your husband was here during basic. That's one thing. Okay. That happened a
Mhm.
long time ago. So let's let that go. 2, you haven't gotten out of the house. You haven't found a community. Like, yes, you have me, but I can only do so
There's
much for you.
more.
There's
Yeah.
more. And we had this conversation. I was like, I think you're so down about this and you hate this place so much because you have not taken the opportunity to go find your new favorites and go find
Mhm.
a new community, because you had it good. You had it good at Bragg. You were at Bragg for 7 years. You were in the same company for 7 years. Like, you didn't even move companies. You were in the same company. You had it very different. This is technically your first PCS because, and like, as an Army family. So they were prior Marine. So they went from Camp Lejeune to Fort Bragg. So it wasn't even
Oh.
like a huge move. Like, they
Same
were
state. Yeah.
same state and stuff. I was like, you have been in North Carolina for a decade, if not more. And so moving to a new state, culture shock, everybody. We talk about that all the time. New installation, culture shock. Talk about that all the time. You haven't taken the opportunity to find the good. I was like, because I was like, she was always complaining. I'm like, I'm really enjoying Benning. I thought I wasn't going to like Benning. And I'm like,
Mhm.
the base is really great. There's great parks. There's great military spouse businesses on installation. The spouse association is amazing. All of the resources on installation have been so welcoming and inviting. Like, it's been a great experience. Like, around town, I feel like there's enough. I grew up military, so I don't expect a lot from a military community
Yeah.
outside the community in terms of lots of things to do. I know that's a lot harder for a lot of other people to adjust, but for me, I've always known you're better. Like, immediate community is not always the greatest, but if you go further out, there's lots more things to do if you're willing to
Yes.
make those drives and things like that. And again, I have that like different aspect mentality of that because I've been in this community a lot longer and I've learned that a lot earlier on. And I think it takes some friends a little longer to understand.
I think it's your perception is your reality. So
Yes,
if you perceive that this place is bad, you're only going to have a bad experience.
yes.
If you perceive that joining these organizations is not going to be fun, then you're not going to have fun. You have to come into it with a positive attitude to really get the most out of it. And that's anything in life.
You
Go and
have
cooking a meal being like, this is going to be horrible. It's going to be horrible. But if
Yeah.
you go and cooking a meal like, this is going to be great, it'll be great.
Yeah. And I think like don't listen to the negativity or listen to someone else's experience because again, that was their experience. We don't know the whole story. We only know what
Yep.
the few sentences that they wrote on social media. So if you've been hesitant to attend a spouse association club or join the spouse association or deployed love or like genuinely any program,
Any program.
and you've been hesitant because you saw one or two or three people have a negative experience, again, we don't know what happened to the full extent. So take the chance to try it out yourself. I always say try it out at least twice because, again, you never know what's happening. We should always have grace with every human that we come in contact with because you don't know that they could be on 2 hours of sleep because their 2-year-old is 1-year-old is teething. Their 4-year-old is throwing up for the last 2 days. Their service member is deployed and it's blackout right now. And they haven't heard from them in 4 days. You don't know what's happening in that other person's life unless you are probably their ride or die. And even ride or dies, I feel like aren't always going to be open and share everything because you have to just look at the person that you're encountering and being like, okay, okay, this person just seems sad. Why are they sad? Go over and talk. Just
And
say
you can always be a force of change because that's honestly what happened with the Bragg Spouses Club and me. Like I came in, I was like, this is what I want this organization to be. And we've grown and we've gotten more successful since
That's
I
exactly how
joined.
it was with me. Yep. I was like, I see this going so much further and this is what we're going to do. And we've hit some major roadblocks. We've had doors not open for us. We've had doors close on us and it can be discouraging, but I feel like, what's her name? I feel like the K-pop Demon Hunters, the main girl. So in her acceptance speech, she talked about how she had doors closed in her face and people told her that she would never make it in the K-pop Demon Hunter or K-pop like arena or anything like that. And she pretty much stated that a no isn't I really wish I had the quote. So I'll have to find the quote and post this with the episode. Okay. But a no isn't like definite. It just means not right now. Something along the lines like this no was not meant to be. It's not right now. Your time is to come type of thing. And so just keep that in mind of just because one door didn't open or close on you, that might have not been the time for you. Your journey will continue and things will happen when they're supposed to happen. And it may take a lot of work to get to that point. But once you get to that point, all that work is going to be like worth it. So if you're listening, thank you so much for hanging out with us this long. You can find, if you're at Fort Bragg, we'll put all of the Fort Bragg information in the show notes when this goes live. We will also probably try to tag some of our well-known spouse associations in another post for you guys for some direct links if you're following our Deployed Love pages and the podcast page as well. But if you are looking for a community, take that step to just go try out a spouse association meetup. I'm sure you guys do this, but I know ours here, the one here in Benning holds like come and see who we are before you sign up type of an event. So
Yep.
that's always a great opportunity to go. Or again, ask your community like, hey, who's a part of the association? Like, how are you liking it? Cool. Okay. That person says maybe it's not for you. We'll still give it a chance and see what happens.
Mhm.
Again, that cost isn't very much, and that cost goes directly back to the military community you're living in, and then go to those other programs. Volunteer, because we need
Volunteer,
to.
please.
So important. Volunteering is what's going to keep these programs afloat. It's going to help. And again, like you don't have to dedicate a ton of time. It could be
Hmm.
2 or 3 hours a month, an hour a week. Or if you're like, I have nothing better to do, I want something. It's a great resume builder, everybody.
I was just about to say that.
You
Mhm.
can put this down as job experience. Like it is a job if you're volunteering, and you can put down like whatever it is. If you're volunteering, I don't know, for instance, if you're volunteering for Deployed Love in social media, I'll train you in social media stuff.
And you'll be our social media manager
And
for
forever
whatever.
how long you want to be. And then if that's something you want to go into further on, you have
Yep.
experience. If you are if you host an event for the Spouse Association, it's program planning, friends. Like you're planning, you're incorporating, d- all the things. Like
All the things.
this is I think volunteering is so important. And I saw a post the other day where do you think spouses should have to volunteer? First off, no one should have to do anything
No.
because you're not going to enjoy it. Like I tell all of my coordinators, don't do any event that you are not going to enjoy because it will reflect and it's going to come off that way to those who are attending it. If you're not enjoying it, don't do it. We'll find
Yep.
someone else to do those type of events if that's not your cup of tea. Do things that you enjoy because it's going to show that you love this and them at the same time, supporting them. But I think that volunteering is a huge asset to military spouses, especially
Yep.
those who cannot be in the workforce for whatever that reason is for you and your family. And you shouldn't feel bad about not working. But if you do want something tangible to have, I did this, volunteering is a great way to do it. And I know for us, like one of the reasons why we created the social aspect was not just to create community, but to give the spouses that opportunity to work on their
Yes.
resume, but be able to do that with their kids. If you go to our pages, guys, you'll see the same kids over and over again. They're always there. We got to the point where we're actually creating a military kid volunteer program in our ranks. Like we're going to have a junior board and everything because
So
one,
cute.
they should have a voice too. They want to have a voice, but they're doing it already. So we're like, why not give them more to work on? So then that way they can grow up and learn the benefits of volunteering and why it's so important for not just the military community, but our community as a whole. Volunteering and giving back is so important. And I think that it helps reestablish humanity and grace, and that there are people out there who genuinely care about your well-being and what you're going through. And yeah, I think it's important. So encourage everyone to volunteer.
And I have a friend who I think she's what I would consider in your terms a ride or die now that I met through the Spouses Club. And she started volunteering at our store. And one of the biggest things that she said is we had a place to go to that was outside of the house
Yes.
because you really can't leave the house and not spend money now.
Yes.
So she had a routine, she had a place to go, something to do. And that really got her out of a funk that she didn't even realize she was in.
That was me. I knew I was in a not a depressive state, but I knew for me personally, I knew that if I didn't find something that was going to be fulfilling, but that would allow me to stay home and take care of my two young kids, because I hated the fact that I was working and my entire paycheck was going into childcare minus like maybe $400 a month. And I was like, that's not worth it to me. The stress of it and having someone else watch my kids, and my kids weren't even in that great of a daycare. I was just like, I'm spending this much money and I'm not getting my kids coming back dirty every single day, covered in food.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no. And it was an instant like gratification and this is what it could be like. This is what life should be like. And it's not always sunshine and rainbows. I'm in a different position and I definitely am a yes gal and I'm learning to say no and I feel like that's anyone who's in a leadership position is going to probably tell you this.
I feel like we're the same type of person with that.
I think that it's definitely, I think if you genuinely go and look at every single president of the Spouse Association or anyone who is in a staff level position, especially in a 100% volunteer ran organization,
Yes.
I will specify that we are yes people. We are individuals who may put too much in our packs. I'm going to pull in our little Ruck Up, why we have our name. We put too much in our pack at times, and sometimes we forget to follow our own advice. I'm the worst, y'all. I told you guys this not recently. Don't be me, but do what I say, because I know from experience that it is important, but there are times where you may have to go against the recommendation or what, because you're in survival mode, but you don't want to stay in survival mode. You need to find those ways out. And if that's a community or asking for help or whatever the case may be, do it. It's going to help you navigate this life and go from being potentially extremely depressed, because we do know that there's a higher depression rate among military spouses, to being like, I got this. What you got for me, military life? What are you going to throw at me next? Which, don't say that, because they don't throw crazy curveballs, like I said, and my husband to pull in for a year type of thing. I thought I saw it all, guys. I thought I had seen whatever the military could throw at me, and I was like, oh, I was wrong.
There's always something more. Yeah.
There's always something more. And if you have that mentality, but you set yourselves up for success, that, okay, this is happening, but I have my tribe behind me and they're going to help support me in getting through this. I had just moved here to Benning. We got here, my husband was here for roughly 30 days and helped me get the house put together. And then he left and he's gone for a year. I would not recommend that to anybody. That was my choice to not stay where we were at, because we were not at an installation. And I knew that I would need to be closer to people who could understand what I was going through. And I did not have that where I was. To the point where I didn't really have a community there. I ended up becoming a substitute teacher just so I could go have interaction with other people. And I had really good relationships with my kids' teachers. And I ended up making really good friendships with them while studying. But I knew that wasn't going to be a good space for me if I stayed there. I knew that I would need to be around like-minded people. And so I made the decision of, okay, your following orders is Fort Benning. Okay, let's go to Fort Benning. I knew I had a good friend here, and I knew that I had a deployed love team here. I knew that I could put myself right in the middle of everything that was already happening and make my community. And has it been easy? Not always. I definitely feel like I've been in more work mode than I have been in actually building my community. But I've made friends with one of the spouses that come to our meetups. And Valentine's Day, her husband was gone too. And I texted her and I was like, hey, do you want to go get tacos and margaritas? And she's like, yes. I was like, oh, thank goodness. And I was like, and then we had the kids and we went and we were able to we did that. And then I was like, do you want to come back to the house? Cause I live right around the corner from where we went. And I was like, we can go. I was planning to order the housemaid. And she's like, yeah. So we came back and we watched the housemaid together and it was great. And I was like, at the end of the night, I was like, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. I needed this. And I'm really glad that you said yes to being my friend. Yeah. And it's been great. And her little boy is 3. And he loves my kids. My kids love him. And so it's been great. She had a meeting the other day. She volunteers for another organization. She's like, hey, I have a board meeting. And she's like, my husband's supposed to be home, but he may not be home. I was like, don't just bring him to me. He's fine. They will play. They'll actually leave me alone because they'll be playing and it'll be fine. And it's fine. I think having a community can be wonderful. And if you don't have it, please find it. This was a great episode. And I thank you so much for joining me. And
thank you.
I'm sure we could talk about this for hours and hours, guys. And you'll probably hear us saying the same things over and over again because we truly feel that it's so important. That's why we're both in the positions that we are in, because we
Yes.
know it's important. No matter if you're a new spouse or a seasoned spouse, it's important to have that community connection in some form. In some form. If you don't want to be part of the SFRG, cool. That's your decision. But find another outlet to be a part of that community so that if you
Yeah.
do go through them something, or you can just be around people who are going to understand. I know that I was friends with our first duty station was Bragg, and that's where we were at prior to my husband joining the service, because our parents were both service members as well, and so they were
Oh,
both
wow.
active.
Okay.
Yeah, so our parents were still active duty when my husband went in and we got married, or at least my dad was. I think his dad actually got out. No, actually might have been when we were married, or right
That's
before
a
we
good
right before we
legacy.
got
That's
married.
a good military
Yeah,
legacy.
and we come from a very long line of military. Both
Yeah.
sides of our family come from I'm like, on my side of the family, we're all girls now,
Mhm.
like, it's all sisters, and none of us joined the military, so we broke that chain. I regret
Yeah.
that decision on a daily, not a daily, but I do go back and forth on, I really wish I had done some time in service. Partly my dads were like, don't go in. Like, they didn't want that for us. But as someone who has grown up in the military family, I was like, I wish I had done something, like, just so I
Mhm.
can continue that legacy. But also, I preach every day that military life is so important and our service
Yep.
members are so important, that I didn't do that myself. But at the end of the day, we all make our decisions that for us. And I wouldn't change my decision on how our life has gone, because that could have led me and my husband not actually marry. And we did meet in high school, but we did end up getting married after college. Or actually, no, I was still in college, but I was home. Anyways, that's a whole nother
Yeah.
story for another day. We could talk about this all day long and why it's important. I knew I had
Yeah.
friends that were civilian, that when my husband was deployed for those first 2 deployments in the late 2000s, when it was still a very
Yeah.
big time frame, that they weren't completely understanding of why I was feeling the way I was, and their solution was to go out and drink every single night, which was obviously not healthy for me.
Oh.
And so that's one thing I'm like, I really wish I had a community that I could have done a little bit more healthier choices to navigate the emotions that I was feeling. And it's important. I was not connected with any programs, at least for my first husband's deployment. The second one, I was like, no, like, I will be a part of this. I volunteered for the SFRG as a key caller. So that way, one, I wanted to be the first to know information. So that was my logic behind everything.
I love it.
Love I'm not a nosy body, but I do like to be in the know of, especially things like this, because one, I've always been the person where people will call and say, "Hey, do you know something?" And I don't like not knowing it, because then I'm like, "Wait, I gotta go find this." So I've always volunteered just so I could. So bad to say that out loud, guys.
No, it's perfect.
I've always volunteered at the very beginning, was so that way I could be in the know, because one, my husband never told me anything. Okay.
Mhm.
So if you have a spouse who like forgets to tell or forgets to tell anything, that was like, my husband was just one time, he was like, I don't really like, why are you part of the FRG? And I was like, because you don't tell me anything. And this is how
Yes.
I find out the training cycle. This is how I find out about events, because you decided to neglect to bring it home. So this might be your
Absolutely.
I was telling him, I was like, my whole volunteer journey was because of that. Not because of that, because genuinely I love military families. And I've always volunteered since I was a teenager in organizations.
Yeah.
For
But knowing what's going on helped.
but exactly, like, the reason I got involved with FRG was because you chose not to keep me informed and keep me out of the loop. And you need to understand that it's important for military spouses specifically
Yeah.
to have people connected. I was like, I get it. You don't want to be friends with your coworkers. That doesn't mean that I can't be friends with their spouses or even spouses outside of that. So anyways, all right, we are going to end on that today, because this was a
Sorry.
hour, 20-minute episode. And like I said, we could probably keep talking about this, and you guys all who are listening are probably like, okay, we're done. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
And
you.
we will connect everybody with anyone who wants. So if you're at our Bragg community, we'll make sure to share this over on our Bragg Deployed Love Facebook group as well. I'm going to have to let my team know that you're doing that resource fair as well, so they can connect. And we are here to support you guys. We're here to uplift you and love on you in any way that we can. If you are listening and you need any type of advice, our inbox is open, our emails are open. We are here to support you, and you do not have to do this journey alone. I'm here to ruck up next to you and go alongside you. And I'm sure anyone who is on our podcast as a guest is the same. And like we say, guys, it's time to ruck up Buttercup